Hey everybody, this is Doc Mack from the Galloping Ghost Arcade out in Brookfield, Illinois. And today we are doing another gamer profile, and today it's with Stephen Lucas, who travels in quite a ways to get here a few times, and he's been coming here for the last few years. And we're going to talk to him, find out a little bit more about what got him into arcade gaming, and just find out more about him as a player. So thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
First, I guess, can you tell me about your first experience in arcades?
Well, let's just go back to how I got into playing video games in the first place, because that's ties into it. I guess back in the late 70s, when I was like, 9, 10 years old, I saw Space Invaders. I saw somebody playing Space Invaders. It looked like fun. I tried it out, and I've been playing video games ever since. And this Space Invaders was in a bowling alley in Jacksonville, Illinois. Unfortunately, that bowling alley no longer exists.
Yeah.
It got torn down sometime. But I've been playing for... Once I played a few games of Space Invaders, I wanted to play it at home when the Atari 2600 came out, and there was a home version out, and I got it for my birthday, and I played for hours a day.
That's awesome. Aside from the bowling alley, were there a lot of arcades around where you grew up, and where did you play at?
There just happened to be, my neighbor opened an arcade in Lincoln Plaza in Jacksonville. He was... the owner was Raymond Doolin. So the Doolin family operated an arcade in Jacksonville for about 4 or 5 years, up until, I guess, the video game crash came along. The arcade did move a couple of times. They expanded out to a bigger building and incorporated... I guess it was incorporated in a pool hall, air hockey tables... dance club, but then it contracted because, well, as you know, in the mid-'80s, the arcade industry retracted quite a bit.
For sure. Did you still seek out arcades like in the 90s?
Yes, I did. I kept going to arcades. I mean, the mall in Springfield had an Aladdin's Castle, and I would, if I went to the mall there, I would go pay it a visit. If a mall that has an arcade, I seek it out.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went to college, there was an arcades in the student center. There was an arcade, 2 arcades in laundromats, and in between classes, if I had a lot of time to kill, I would ride my bike out there. So I kept up on the arcade games that were coming out back then.
That's excellent. Tell me a little bit about your first time at Galloping Ghost Arcade and how you heard about it and what your first thoughts and experiences were.
I'm not sure when my first visit to Galloping Ghost was. Obviously, I learned about Galloping Ghost through Midwest Gaming Classic. Mm-hmm. And it was just a matter of getting off my duff, getting up there, getting a hotel room, because it's like I figured out that I was going to have to spend a couple of days. And in truth, anybody that's going to the Galloping Ghost for the first time has to spend 2 full days there to get the full effect of it.
There's definitely a lot to play.
If you just show up and if you just show up at random and you haven't been to arcades lately, or you're just used to like the, I don't know, places that just has a golden tee and a big buck hunter and
sure.
or a small number of machines, and you go out there and then you're just overwhelmed by how many games there are, and you have to spend a couple of days, or at least if you feel overwhelmed, walk through it first before you plunk down to $15.
Well, and do you remember, like, a lot of people do a full walk around through the arcade, and then do you remember what you played first?
Oh, I don't know what I played first. I know what section of the arcade I played in first, and it was like to the left. Whatever games were along that row. I think one of the first ones may have been at the Sega Sonic Hedgehog.
It's excellent. Definitely
That's
very rare.
One that I played early.
Yeah. Is there any particular game that you've seen at the arcade that you're just like, wow, I can't believe they have that game?
That is a tough question. I don't know if I can narrow it down because, like, you have like 540 machines now. We have this Money Mystery game every week, and I don't know. Some of these rare prototypes you're coming up with, it's like you came up with Arena recently.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you get that one? We still don't know because
There's a good
that story is
that.
being kept under wraps because of a documentarian that doesn't want any details to get out on the intertubes yet.
Not yet. Soon.
Mm-hmm.
We're always running events and everything, and you're out for the T20 event this year, and we're here. Like, what are some of your favorite events that you've been to at the arcade?
Well, at this point, just this one. I haven't hit the other ones. I mean, I'm having to travel like 3 hours up here.
Yeah.
This is tell the truth, this is the first event. I can't tell you what my favorite is because I haven't experienced anything other than T20 yet.
Sure. Well, and for the last several trips that you've been out, you've definitely really got into scoring. And what drew you to that?
Well, I saw the scoreboards and it's like, maybe I need to get on it. I mean, kind of instead of just showing up here to play, I mean, certain people think I'm taking it too seriously. I don't think I'm anywhere close to that point yet. But it's a 3-hour drive here, and I'm only up here every couple of months because, well, I'm busy at home with work and video editing, which you'll be doing some of that once we're done here. If I come up here if I drive up here for 3 hours for 1-2 days, I have to make them count.
Yeah.
So I'm going to I'm going to figure out what I'm going to go after and just make a game plan and have a list of what I'm going to try to get.
How do you select those games? Like, what do you look for?
It does. Well, somebody called me the king of low-hanging fruit or something. Not every game that I've taken a high score here was a high-hanging or is a low-hanging fruit. Some of those games are now high-hanging fruit because nobody's taken it. Some games have not been seriously challenged.
Sure.
Blood Brothers, Spider-Man are two examples of fruits that are now high that nobody's seriously gone after yet. And I've put Assault like way higher than second place.
Yeah.
We'll see if anybody challenges it.
Great game.
Nobody's gotten close yet.
How do you prepare? Do you play on console or emulator or?
Well, I can play in the emulator. I also have a multicade with a Pandora's Box board. A lot of those Money Mystery games happen to be on that Pandora's Box 4 board. So
yeah.
I've gotten to try those on physical arcade hardware.
Do you watch any? Do you do like research? Do you watch any videos, or are you like straightforward?
Yeah, if I'm trying to figure out a game, like Zarwaki just showed up on the floor. I played I keep getting killed by the dragon. I get up to the point of the dragon. It's like, okay, how do I deal with it? I'm gonna have to watch a YouTube video because I haven't. I just walk in the room and then I'm just dead.
Yeah.
Dead. No clue as to how to handle this dragon.
Sure.
No, it just kills you instantly.
As a player, do you consider yourself more of a research player or a reactionary player, or like how? What's your strong set like?
I don't think I've ever thought of it in that terminology, research versus, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that question.
Yeah. Well, for a lot of the games, are you? And there's some people that are very score driven, and some people that are just like, oh, I'm playing for fun. Like, are you always chasing scores, or are you playing games for the fun of playing games?
Well, somebody had accused me previously of or thought I was not having fun playing these games. If I was not having fun playing these games, then I wouldn't be playing them.
Yeah.
And I would determine. I'm the one who can best determine if I'm having fun playing a game.
Absolutely.
So I am playing for fun, but I'm also playing to accomplish things.
You've got a goal.
Yes.
That's
Move
awesome.
up that leaderboard.
That's awesome.
And try to claim as many scores as I can. I know I will never catch James White or Pete Hahn. I know I won't. For me to do that, I would have to move up here and be here as often as James, Tibbetts, Mossie's, Walters, whoever else.
Well, and there's so many really good players that go to the arcade and play, and there's over 300 world records set there, and there's so many great players, and you've named so many, and your name comes up often between like a lot of the regulars, and you've definitely made a mark and helped get people interested in games that, like you said, they weren't really interested in them. There were some games that the scores really weren't pushed, and you kind of put a lot of like a spotlight on a lot of these games.
That would tie into the, I guess, the low-hanging fruit theory. Nobody played King of the Monsters 1 and 2 until I toppled whatever house high it was.
Sure.
I think it was yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got something started. I mean, I toppled Pulsar for a while, and then now beat Honda's once he seeded and made it probably unobtainable for me anyway, unless I play that game constantly.
Are there any players that like, who are some of the players that you respect the most and are?
I would have to respect James and Pete.
Yeah.
They're fighting over the title of Ghost Rider, which is the top of the leaderboard. It's not a championship title. I've dubbed it the Ghost Rider position.
Yeah.
Number 1 on that leaderboard. It's, besides fighting over Monday Mystery belts and Gamer of the Year title belts, that's a position that I think should be quite coveted by the GGA regulars.
Yeah. What's been some of your greatest scoring accomplishments that you've had at the arcade? Like, what do you feel stands out the most to you?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I mean, I've got Spider-Man, I've got Blood Brothers, I've taken Assault.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few others. Now I gotta pull out the arcade page. I'm gonna pull out my cell phone and look at my scorecard. But I mean, there's some games I played that I've taken the house high, and I haven't turned back to. Last night I played Ghostbusters. I have the record on that. I've only gotten through 3 stages, and there's 10.
Yeah. You think there's more room on that?
Oh, there's tons more room. Somebody, if they played all the way to the end and basically maximized, I mean, each stage has a 5-minute time limit. If they capture enough ghosts
Mm-hmm.
where they could cycle their initial 3 lives over and over, it's like they sacrificed their lives so they could play the entire level again, capture more ghosts, because you got to capture 100 ghosts to get 1-up.
Right.
You could play each stage 3 times, each all the way through, and the score would be probably in the tens of millions.
Yeah.
For the most diehard Ghostbusters player.
Well, has there been a score that you've lost that you really want to get back?
Oh boy. Well, there was one score that I tried to get back for quite a while, and that was King of the Monsters 2, which I did get on my last visit here.
Yeah.
Just by 1,000 points.
Yeah.
Score that I would like to get back. I tried to get Hammer Away back, and thought I figured out a way to do it, and then it was not a valid way of doing it. My last attempts to play Hammer Away, I could not topple my previous personal high.
Yeah.
The legal one, anyway. It may be out of reach now because somebody toppled your score by quite a bit.
Yeah.
So,
has there ever been a score that you've just like walked away from? It's like, I'm done with that game. I won't be able to get that score again.
probably Hammer Away.
Hammer Away.
And probably Pulsar Star now. But certainly King of the Monsters 1.
Yeah.
I haven't touched it since everybody's tackled that game and just raised that thing way high.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, and what are some of your future goals? Not only at the Galloping Ghost Arcade. I noticed that on Arcade you put in a lot of arcade locations, and you really help. You're definitely an advocate for the arcade scene. Like, what are some of your goals in both the Galloping Ghost Arcade with scoring or with other arcades?
Well, there's a lot of arcades that are not documented on arcade.com. Mm-hmm. Some pretty big ones. I'm going to give an example. Round 1 in Bloomingdale, with all those Japanese games. I'm still going through. I haven't had time to go through the video. I've gone halfway through and then typed up the list of the games they've got. And it's like, I saw these new games over there. It's like, why did these not come officially to America?
Right.
There was a lot of games that we missed out on.
Oh, absolutely.
And they had. I'm amazed that you've got Silent Hill and they've got Silent Hill.
Yeah.
But there's some games like Elevator Action Death Parade.
Sure. Great game.
I saw that for the first time. I was like, I couldn't. And they had the working elevator doors on. I was like,
right.
Why have I not ever seen this before? And I've seen these other shooting games, Transformers and Star Wars Battle Pod, and there's some, I think World War II fighter plane type of a game in a pod. Like. I've lost my train of thought. You're going to have to ask me your question again because I got off on a tangent.
What are some of the other goals that you have?
I don't know if I have any goals. I mean, lately I've kind of got inspired by John Jacobson's John's Arcade series. I'm working on what used to be a Q*bert. And I posted a couple of pictures on the Facebook group. I'm trying to make it. I don't know when it'll ever be a Q*bert again because it got converted to a Matt Mania.
Yeah.
When I got this cabinet, it was not the worst looking cabinet in the world, but it was, I guess, stored somewhere, and it was dirty, had some mildew on the inside. The sides of the cabinet were roughed up, scratched, and using inspiration from his show, and I guess there's another guy, Arcade Body Shop, that's restoring 2 Q*berts. I got some tips from that, and my Q*bert is looking a lot better than it did before. Although I'm going to enjoy Matt Mania before I try to convert it back to a Q*bert or was a J-Rock board, but I have to find a control panel for it.
Yeah.
Goals at the arcade. I don't know if I have any goals other than moving up the leaderboard, but I'm ranked number 11. I'd have to do quite a bit to catch the next guy on the list. Chris Teeter, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
He's ranked number 10, and I got to gap to close before I can even topple that or get ahead of him. I do have some distance between myself and the person ranked number 12. I believe that's Justin.
Okay.
Justin K. I'm not even going to try to attempt to pronounce his last name. That will never happen. Unless he would have to tell me how to pronounce his last name for me to even try. I just got to find some more games that have an attainable score. There are some out there. I mean, I took one of them yesterday, Mach 3 fighter mode, which nobody even put a score on it. And like, I couldn't believe nobody has put a score on this yet. Everybody was like turning their attention to Bomber, and then you're leaving this money on the table over here for somebody to pick up, and they just left it there for like a month. And I just walked in and just put the first score on it. So we'll there's see. Another 10 tokens for me, I guess.
We shall see if anybody takes notice.
Somebody will.
I'm sure someone
It's
will.
not us. It's not a substantial score. This is the best I can do with sore hands, arms, and back after tackling all these machines in here.
What's the longest you've played video games straight?
Oh gosh. I don't think I ever. I mean, several hours on the console, but at least you can pause the game on the console and walk away and take a drink or use the restroom. I don't think I'll ever marathon a game. One, I don't think I can have the patience to do that. I'm amazed by guys like Tim McVeigh who can marathon Nibbler for 2 days straight.
Sure.
Yeah, I saw that Man's versus Snake movie. It's like, I don't. If anybody tries to take the Cuba World Record, they would have to play 3 straight days, non-stop. I don't think I can do that. It's like, I don't. I'm a person who has to have some sleep. I just can't function if I'm like, I can't function on small amounts of sleep. If I like one day go to sleep for like a very small amount of time, get up the next day, I've never been able to function. So I don't think I can marathon a game.
Well, if you could be known for any game, just instantly have you could just run the game no problem, have the world record, what game would that be?
Oh gosh.
What game would you want to be known as the guy?
Well, there is one thing that I'm known as the guy of. I'm the 1991 Nintendo Campus Challenge National Champion. Mm-hmm. That's my gaming title. That's what I'm known for.
Yeah.
For any particular arcade game, I don't know if I could pick one.
Yeah. Well, tell us about that. What was winning that like?
Well, let's go back in time. The Nintendo Campus Challenge, that was a tournament at about 55 different college campuses around the country. Nintendo was promoting the NES and I don't know, I guess the Super NES. I don't know if it was out yet. But they had gaming trucks taken around the country, and then they have like 12. They have the tournament area with 12 terminals, and your goal was to get the most points combined. And you got 3 games. You had to play all 3 games. Super Mario 3, and it had a multiplier on that times 10. Then you had to play Pinbot and try to score 100,000 points as fast as you can because you wanted to get to the last game, and that was times 1. Dr. Mario with a 100 multiplier on it, and you had 6 minutes and 21 seconds to amass as many points as you could before time runs out. Mm-hmm. I can tell you right now, I don't have the world record on the Nintendo NCC 91 cartridge. That belongs to a man named Paul Tessie, who breached 18 million points fairly recently. But back then, nobody conceived a score higher than 6 million.
Mm-hmm.
The best scores back then were achieved on Dr. Mario. And the funny thing about that competition cartridge was the patterns, the board layout on Dr. Mario did not change. It was the same every time. If you play the arcade machine or the home console version, it's randomized.
Mm-hmm.
So they're taking a video camera. They were filming the boards and how the pills come out, so they can memorize how to stack the pills.
Sure.
And then take out 6 viruses at a time, which yields a huge amount of points.
Absolutely.
And that's how you would get 18 million now on that game. But I was not good at Dr. Mario.
Yeah.
I got my points on Super Mario 3. My scoring method was basically get to World 1-2. There's this pipe that was spitting out Goombas. So basically get the raccoon tail, stomp on the first one, float down to the next one, try not to hit the ground, and then stomp them until you get like 8,000 points. Mm-hmm. And if one's popping out of the pipe, swat it for another 8,000 before you touch the ground, and then rinse and repeat until... And you had to use the timer on the level timer to kind of give you an idea of how much time do you have before you need to move on to get to the last game, so your score is legal.
Yeah. So was that really like the crowning point of your gaming career, would you say?
I would say, well, 25 years ago, and this is the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
Back then it was the crowning achievement, and then I did try other game tournaments since then. I tried Powerfest. Didn't come close.
Yeah.
The guy who beat me was like the last tourney slot or tourney site. The person who won there ended up being the first runner-up in the national. So
yeah,
I wouldn't have beat him. I don't think I would beat him. He was a youngster.
Yeah.
I don't know how he was. I don't know how he was at the time, but he was in his early teens. But he went all the way to second place in and they switched games up on them. They played Donkey Kong Country at the Powerfest finals. I don't know where it was. I don't know if it was California or I don't think it was Florida. It was somewhere. But
do you prefer console gaming or arcade gaming?
Well, back up until I should say this. I didn't say this earlier. I do own a Vanguard machine. Before I got the multicade machine, I had a Vanguard that I got in an auction sometime in the 1990s, so I always had that. My stepmom was an owner of a Central Park pinball machine. They sold that off when they moved, but I always have the Vanguard, still have it.
Yeah.
Awesome. But most of the time, all I've had access to was playing consoles. Arcades were few and far between. There were a few around, but not like the one here. Certainly downstate, well, in the Springfield area, there weren't any big arcades. There were just small ones. And I'd see them on occasion, but I either play on an emulator, the MAME emulator, or the console games. And so basically all I had to prefer console games because that's pretty much mostly what I had access to.
Cool. Well, is there anything else that you would want people to know about you as a video game and arcade player?
I think I may have mentioned this earlier. I mean, every time I come up here, I have to make my trips count. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I don't want to feel that they're a wasted trip, even though I'm having fun. I'm hoping I get into the International Video Game Hall of Fame someday. Mm-hmm. But the competition is stiff.
Sure.
I'm just kind of riding on the 25th anniversary mark, and then all this new attention to the NCC 91 tournament championship cart, since there's been a scoring flurry on it and trying to take the world record. I don't know. John of John's Arcades kind of inspired me a little bit to, I guess, build an arcade in my basement. I don't know. When I'm done, I mean, I'm also scratch building a cabinet besides restoring that former Cubert. However, I'm not a. My parents are the HD TV type. They do home improvement, gardening. I've always been a tech guy. I mean, that's what I do for a living. Is I fix computers. I prepare laptops for the Illinois State Troopers that go in their cars, and I tried programming, but that didn't work out. It got too complicated. I couldn't get object-oriented programming. I don't think I could make a game like Sky Cursor. Yeah. Because I could see some of the code on that when the game crashed in prototype. I'm just making my mark, carving out my little niche where it is, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm never going to say I'm the world's greatest gamer, but I'm going to carve out my spot somewhere in that spectrum and just be in the mix always.
Very cool.
And I may not win T20 either. I mean,
it's some tough competition here, but we'll see. We wish you luck in that and everything else that you do at the arcade and within the industry. So thank you very much. Stephen Lucas, everybody. Thank you all for watching. I'm Doc Mack and from the Galloping Ghost Arcade, and we hope to see you around the arcade soon. Thanks a lot, everybody.
And I better give a shout out. You can follow my website, the St. Louis Wrestling Community, stlwrestling.livejournal.com, or go to my YouTube page, tiny.cc, PWCI. Sooner or later, I'm going to post the Ottumwa Hall of Fame extravaganza on that YouTube channel whenever I get time. And all I'm doing is like constantly video editing, but I got a lot of things to video edit lately, so
cool.
Be sure to watch.
Awesome. Check it out. Thanks, everybody. We hope to see you around the arcade soon.